Hey everyone, I'm Dr. Steve Kuniak, and my roles in PCA and what brings me here today are that I am the marketing director for PCA, and I started working on this, started working on it in the fall, and then was kind of officially appointed it early this year. And then I'm also going to be the president-elect of PCA in the coming months here. So specifically today, I want to talk to you all about, and first off, I want to express my appreciation to all of you for volunteering, for helping us out with our initiatives with the conference. And so I want to sort of go over my plans for the conference and how you might best be of help. So I originally, Ashley and I had talked about doing a phone call or a video conference to go through all of this, and then it got really challenging to get everybody's schedules pulled together, myself and hers included, but everybody's kind of on different agendas, and I get that we're all busy professionals, and so I had suggested that maybe it was easier to put together a video to explain kind of what the goals here are. And so I decided after recording a longer version of this that maybe it was easier to split this into two videos and go over kind of the spirit and motivations of what we're trying to do, and then in a separate video explain the steps going forward and what we're trying to accomplish. So let me jump into it and get to the spirit and motivations of what we're trying to accomplish. So when I started work with PCA last fall, it started with this idea that I had of how to increase or improve the conference in one way or another. I think we have a great product in the conference. I think that there's a lot of value in our conference. And certainly I think it's one of the biggest initiatives we have every year in PCA and what draws the bulk of our members together every year. But I thought about how do we improve the conference? How do we, and by that I mean, how do we make the conference kind of stand on its own and become a revenue generating entity for PCA as a whole? And so in my private life and certainly in my past, I've had some experience with pulling together conferences, speaking to conference promoters and things of that sort. And so I'm aware that conferences can become a really heavy revenue generating entity for the people who organize them, for the associations that put them on. And so I began to wonder, how could we make our conference in PCA stand on its own, so as we're not sinking any money into the conference every year. And so the money that we get from people who attend the conference doesn't just go to the support of the conference, but rather gets pulled into the association. And the goal here is really to make this revenue generating so that we can support future initiatives. We have funds going out for our lobbyists, for example, to help support our agenda in the state, to improve the work that we do as counselors and to support the work that we do as counselors, as well as any other initiatives that we want to come across. We have ideas that get floated, but then the question always comes down to, well, how do you fund that? And so our biggest initiative, as I said, is every year is our conference. And so it just strikes me that we should really utilize that in some way or another to support the work that we do as professionals. So that's the first goal, is to look for opportunities for sponsorship in various forms for our conference. And you've been, I'm sorry, I'm stumbling here. You've been given one of our sponsorship applications, the most up-to-date draft of our sponsorship application. So now I put this together kind of out of thin air, and it's had a lot of feedback from Ashley and Nellie about maybe what needs included or other ways to look at this. Derek came up with some really great ideas for ways that we could expand some of these sponsorship ideas as well. But that having been said, it struck me that having more eyes on the form wouldn't necessarily be a bad thing. So as you look at it, if you have questions about the form, or you have ideas about how maybe it can look differently, maybe these are things that we can adjust right now, that I could try to adjust for this year. Maybe there are things that we can look at in future years to try to improve and streamline this process. But sponsorship is really the biggest goal here. And then right in line with that or secondary to that are the opportunities that I see for increasing our vendor and exhibitor space. So in my private life, I'm a big geek and gamer, and I attend things like Comic-Con, which are exclusively vendor and exhibitor driven events. But they can make literally millions of dollars for the people who sponsor Comic-Cons or who put on Comic-Cons. Now, we're not going to do that with PCA, but in other aspects of my life, my dad was a dentist, and he was very active in the Pennsylvania Dental Association. Their conference every year has hundreds of vendors and exhibitors who come and do things like promote toothbrushes and floss. But they also have groups who come to show how to set up your office, dental chairs, insurance companies that you might contract with, and malpractice providers that you might contract with. And so though we don't necessarily have all the tools that, you know, my mom, my sister, and I would go around and pick up sample toothbrushes, sample mouthwashes, sample floss, and things like that, though we don't have necessarily those things that show up in our offices, we do have various things that the practicing counselor might want to utilize. And more than that, what we have other social service organizations, nonprofits, other providers who might want to set up shop and network with those professional counselors and students that we have at the conference. We have plenty of master students who are looking for field experience locations. That would be a great networking opportunity at this vendor and exhibitor spaces. We have plenty of master students or those who are licensed counselors who maybe are looking for new jobs, looking to augment their practices, looking to adjunct with other practices, or looking for referral opportunities. You know, when I was a clinical director, I used to have to keep for our county a binder of other providers that we were collaborating with every year. And so I just see lots of opportunities for increasing our vendor space. We have lots of, we don't have lots of schools, but we have schools who show up for our vendor opportunities for our exhibitor spaces. But they're mostly exhibiting to existing students. And so I wonder too what the value added would be if we were to increase the attendance at our conferences and gear this towards both the practicing counselor in the field who makes up the bulk of our association. So having good vendors and exhibitors who are there to network with our existing counselors, I think would add value to those who attend who aren't in an academic position, which again is the bulk of the professionals that we have in our association. But then also I wonder about our academic association or our academic professionals who want to have their exhibitor space present. How can we make more value for them? So that's going to lead into the steps. And so that is my second video that I'm going to link you all to, is kind of the how we get to this. But I hope this was helpful in envisioning kind of what I hope to come out of this initiative for this conference this year and then conferences in the future.